Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Bhaktivedanta Bhagvata Group welcomes everyone again to the day 3 of the Bhagvatam Katha. As you all of you know, since Janmashtami falls on Tuesday, August 11, today in today's Katha, Satchitananda Dasa Prabhuji will be narrating the Bhagavatam Katha related to the appearance of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So Shri Krishna Janmashtami, as all of us know, is the appearance anniversary of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Person. He is not born like we are. He comes and goes as he likes, but he appears here to please his devotees, rid the earth of the evildoers, and through his transcendental pastimes, gives his devotees something worthwhile to talk about. The Lord's birth in this material world is a wonderful event, unprecedented in the history of the world. In every way, his birth is above any material influence. His supreme will conducts his appearance unhampered by any of the forces that compel an ordinary soul to accept a material body. The Lord's form is completely spiritual, and it is said that that if one studies the fine details of his birth from Srimad Bhagavatam under the guidance of a spiritual master such as Srila Prabhupada, it will pave the way for our own spiritual emancipation and get us the pure love for Krishna. So we have got this wonderful opportunity to listen to the transcendental birth katha of Sri Krishna as narrated by Srila Prabhupada from Satchitananda Dasa Prabhuji. Uh, and wishing everyone a happy Janmashtami in advance. As usual, this will be a 2-hour discourse, and the Q&A, question and answer session, will be at the end of the discourse. We request Prabhuji to kindly commence day 3 of the Katha, celebrating the auspicious appearance of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Vanchakalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha 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 Aradhyo Bhagwan Vrajesh Tanayas Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadhuvargena Taya Kalpita Srimat Bhagvata Puranayamalam Prema Pumat Tho Mahan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Mataidam Nayatrayagraha परः शृण्वन्तः स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनम् हृदयन्तस्त भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जया उदीरये निगमकल्पतरो गलितं फलं सुखमुखाद्रवमृतं संयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिक भुवि भावुका ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नवनीरदनिन्दित कान्तिधरम् रसोसागर नागर भूपवरम् शुभवङ्किमचारु शिखण्ड शिखिं भज कृष्ण निधिं व्रजराजसुतं भज कृष्ण निधिं व्रजराजसुतं भज कृष्ण निधिं व्रजराजसुतं जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ॐ जन्मादियस्य यतोऽन्वया इतरतश्चर्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदयादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरया तेजो वारी मृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो अमृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि सत्यं परं धीमहि सत्यं परं धीमहि Hare Krishna. On behalf of the Bhaktivedanta Bhagvat Group, I welcome all the listeners, all the devotees who have assembled, especially this Tuesday, being Sri Krishna Janmashtami, and Wednesday being Nandotsav. In India, according to the Indian calendar, Janmashtami is celebrated on Wednesday and Nandotsav the following day, which is Thursday. But I have to bring this very important point, especially those who are very devoted and they are going to be fasting for Janmashtami. It is according to the sunrise. The calculation, the Vedic calculation is done according to the sunrise of that particular place where one is. So, based on the calculations, Janmashtami in the West, especially in North America, falls on this coming Tuesday. So, those who would like to observe it, please do so by fasting until midnight. It is best to do nirjal without drinking water, but Ekadashi or Agyaras Prasadam is permitted. So one can always take milk, fruits, and anything that does not contain grains and beans. So one should, that is Janmashtami, and any of the appearances or the Abhirbhav Tithi or the Ocho of the Supreme Lord is known as Madhav Tithi. And our acharyas say, Madhav Tithi Bhakti Janani Jatane Palana Kori. One should, with great endeavor, fast on these Madhav Tithis, because it is very, very dear to Sri Krishna. And any kind of spiritual activity, austerity, charity, etc., performed on such days, the benefit is multiplied than any other ordinary day. So Madhav Tithi Bhakti Janani Jatane Palana Kori. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that I will, with great endeavor and with happiness, I will fast on Janmashtami, Ram Navami, Gaur Purnima, Balram Jayanti, etc. Any of the appearances of the Supreme Lord, incarnations, Vishnu Tattva, Krishna Tattva, and of course, Purna Purushottam, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So, since we have been studying especially the introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam for the last 3 weeks, and Janmashtami is coming Tuesday, Nanda Utsav being the next day, Wednesday, and also we will be celebrating His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada's appearance or Vyas Puja. Srila Prabhupada appeared on the Nanda Utsav day. So today I would like to dedicate the program. Krishna's appearance is very nicely, elaborately spoken in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, the Swaskan. And what today, because of being a this week being a very special occasion, then due to that, we are dedicating this program to Krishna Janmashtami, Nandotsav, and Srila Prabhupada's appearance. So, bolo Sri Krishna Janmashtami Maha Mahotsav ki Jai, Sri Nanda Utsav ki Jai, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, Sukadeva Goswami is mentioning that earth, Prithvi or Bhumi, in the form of a very, very sad cow, due to the burden of the demoniac forces, especially Kansa and his alliance of other demons like Jarasandha and the demoniac kings of the Bhoja and the Andhaka dynasties, it had become extremely difficult for Mother Earth to bear the onslaught and the abuse of these demoniac forces. So Mother Cow or Bhumi approaches Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the creator of these material universes under the instruction of Sri Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, very first verse of the Mangalacharan, Vyasadeva mentions Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. Tene Brahma. Brahma means spiritual knowledge, Vedic knowledge. Tene Brahma Adi Kavaye. Hridaya Adi Kavaye. In the heart, Krishna imparted knowledge to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is nicely eulogized by the word Adi Kavi, the first Vaishnava poet. One of the qualities of great Vaishnavas or devotees of the Supreme Lord is that they are very expert in praising, singing the kirti, the glories of the Supreme Lord. And Brahmaji, being the first created being himself, also beautifully praises, sings the glories of Krishna. Especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, by his mercy, when he was doing his Dakshin Padayatra, South Indian tour by feet, by walking, he came across the temple in the Sri Rangam Rangji Mandir. And in the temple, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned to the Brahmins there that in your temple, in a particular part, and Mahaprabhu pointed out, there is this wonderful prayers known as the Brahma Samhita, chapter number 5. So by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this chapter number 5 was re-manifest. Actually, Brahma Samhita means a collection, and Brahma Samhita means the collection of prayers that Lord Brahma sang during the time of creation. And there are 100 chapters, but out of that, only chapter number 5 seemed to be manifest, very especially miraculously by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. And that chapter number 5 specifically deals with the aspect of Purna Purushottam Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. Brahmaji starts with the prayers, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. This personality known as Govinda, Govinda, has got two wonderful meanings. Go means in Sanskrit means cows, and go in Sanskrit means the senses or the indriya. Vinda means pleasure. So one who gives pleasure to the cows and one who gives pleasure to the senses, especially to the devotee senses, he is rightfully named, that personality is rightfully named Govinda. So Ishvara, Parama Krishna, Krishna, we are all Ishwaras. The word Ishwar, if I translate from Sanskrit to English, it basically simply means controller. One who is controlling is called Ishwar. And because we are made in the image, or we are atomic part and parcels of Krishna, we also have that quality of controlling, just like Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is the supreme controller. Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, and I think we have spoken this verse time and again, Mamayamsha Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The Mamayamsha Jiva Bhuta Jiva Loka Sanatana. The Jiva or the soul is my ansha, my part. But we are very atomic. We are very anu. And Krishna is gigantic. He is Vibhu. But nevertheless, all the qualities of Krishna exist in the Jiva, but in a very, very atomic or a minuscule form. So, because Krishna has, or the Supreme Lord, and all his expansions and avatars are supreme controllers, we as Jivas are mini controllers, small controllers. So Brahmaji has specified Ishvara Parama Krishna. He is the supreme controller, Ishvara Parama Krishna, and he is Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. He is the embodiment of Sat, means eternal, a simple meaning. Sat means something that never is destroyed. It is eternal. And that which is never destroyed, the secondary meaning is truth. So eternal truth can never be destroyed. Therefore, some translate the word Sat as truth. But the truths in this material world are relative. If we make a statement today about a particular subject or a particular object, it may be true for a certain period of time or under certain circumstances. Moment the circumstances change, then that truth becomes relative. It is not absolute. So Krishna is the absolute truth. That's what Brahmaji is saying. He's Sat. He's Chitta. Chitta means fully cognizant. He is Samvit. Samyak Vitta iti Samvit. He is Samvit Shakti himself, along with the Sat and Ananda. He knows everything. Again, we can give our reference to the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Vyasadeva says that Om Janmadi Yasya Yato Anvayad Itaratascha Artheshva. Yato Anvayad Itaratascha Artheshva Abhigya. Meaning, so Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, although he is in Golok Vrindavan, and it is said that the Supreme Personality of Goddess Sri Krishna, Nandan Nandan, Yashoda Nandan, does not take even one step outside Golok. Ekam padam na gacchati, Rupa Goswami has mentioned that. So then one can wonder, and one may think that how is it the spiritual worlds are created? How is it the material worlds are created? How is it all the different incarnations or the swarupas or the avatars are created? That is created to Krishna's first expansion, Lord Balram. And he is the one who is responsible for the Chinmay Jagat, the spiritual worlds, and also the different avatars. And through his avatars and his sub-avatars, the different Vishnus the material world is created. Of course, there is so much to cover, and I don't know if I will be able to do proper justice to this occasion of Janmashtami. So I was thinking, in case if I cannot finish today about Janmashtami, Nanda Utsav, and Srila Prabhupada's appearance, at the end of the program, I would like to invite the participants to just give me kind of their own opinion whether or not we can actually continue this program on Tuesday evening. We can do it. I know a lot of people maybe still be working because it's a weekday. So we can keep the time around 6:30 or 7 p.m. And the same thing can be done on Wednesday, 6:30 or 7 p.m. So at the end, I would appreciate everybody giving your honest feedback if that is okay, because I would like to, it is very easy to kind of, summarize, because as it is, Sri Krishna is a nidhi, he's an ocean, and it is impossible to speak about his glories. Anantasesh, Lord Balram's avatar as Anantasesh or Mahasankarshan or Mula Shankarshan, he says that I have thousands and thousands of ears and I have thousands and thousands of mouths, but still I'm inadept. I'm not capable of speaking the glories of my brother Sri Krishna and his devotees. So I personally do not prefer to rush things. Of course, I have very limited knowledge, but whatever knowledge I have, I would like to share it by making the best of it. So this is something that I would like to ask devotees, if we cannot finish today, is everybody willing to meet again on Tuesday? And then if we do not finish on Tuesday, we can do it on Wednesday. Janmashtami being on Tuesday, any kind of spiritual activity, whether we are chanting the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, or any of the names, Govinda, Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama, any of the holy names that are chanted, it gives us immense benefit. As I mentioned, hearing, glorifying, any of the spiritual activities that are done on such Madhav Tithis will give immense benefit to the practicing devotee, to the sadhak. So think about it, and then maybe I will try my best to cover as much as I can based on my memory and based on my ability. So Brahmaji says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha. He is a Vigraha, embodiment of Sat, eternality, Chitta, full of cognizance, knowledge. He knows everything directly and indirectly. Although he may be not leaving Vrindavan, although not leaving the supreme abode, Golok Dham. And he is Ananda. He is the source of bliss. Because bliss personified in Krishna appears simultaneously in Golok Vrindavan along with Baldev Prabhu, his brother. Baldev Prabhu being the Sat potency, or also known as the Sandhini Shakti, and Radharani also simultaneously appears, who is Krishna's joy or bliss personified. Now, in order to understand that, I have to give a very simple example. What I just said, I like to use this example, and perhaps that will make it very easy for our audience to understand. Let's say one person, and this person has many different moods. We all have that, right? Sometimes this person is very humorous. So he's always saying nice, humorous things, cracking jokes, always smiling, always laughing. So that is his humorous personality. That same person, at another time, in another given circumstance, he may be very sad, very morose. and you can see that he's very grave, hardly speaking, not even paying attention to the normal activities, not even eating properly. We have experienced that even in our own selves, I would say so. And then we have another personality, or all of us, that example would be, say, somebody who is very angry, and when that anger arises, that person is completely a different person. So, and then let's say the same person who is so very loving, especially he's full of love, either with the parents or with the kids or with the wife, with the relatives, with friends, always, that mood is also there. It is being displayed. So if I can put it in simple terms, Radharani, Shri Radhe, Radharani is the joy or Ananda personified of Sri Krishna. If that mood of Sri Krishna can be given a form as a person, that person is Sri Radha, known as the Haladini Shakti. So actually, completing that verse, he is Satchitananda Vigraha, Sri Krishna of Golok, because we are talking about chapter 5 of the Brahma Samhita, where Lord Brahma specifically has been given that vision of Golok Vrindavan. Actually, he was given the Kam Gayatri, or it's a very, very special Gayatri mantra that Krishna imparts Lord Brahma in his heart, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye, through his Venunad, through his flute, the transcendental sound vibration from Golok Vrindavan. Krishna, just like we have a mobile phone, and when it receives the proper signal, a good strong signal, we do not have any interference, and we can even watch a lot of memory consuming even video clips or movies, sitting in the comfort of our home, or when we are driving, or when we are traveling on the train, etc. So it is not impossible, because if somebody were to tell you, especially those who are of the middle-aged or the older generation, if somebody would have told us back in the 1970s that you can be anywhere and you can take the telephone anywhere and speak anywhere, or you can actually take a movie that is happening in one part of the world and it can be relayed instantly and live to another part of the world, nobody would have believed that at that time. It would have become like a science fiction, a fairy tale. But it's so true. Now everybody has access to mobile phones, and this has become a part of the life today. So how is it that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, if he wants to transmit something in the heart of someone, he can easily do that? It is not so surprising. So through his flute, he gives not only gives Brahma knowledge of how to create the different material worlds, he gives knowledge of the Vedas. He gives knowledge of his expansions. He gives knowledge of the Chaturshloki Bhagvat, the 4 shlokas from which actually Vyasadeva elaborated and then compiled the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. So all this knowledge was given, and especially Brahma was very, very fortunate that he got a glimpse beyond Vaikuntha, beyond the transcendental planet of Mathura, Dwarka, Mathura, and he got a direct glimpse of Sri Krishna in his original form as Nandanandan, Yashodanandan, Radharaman, as Gopijana Vallabha, etc. in Golok Vrindavan. And that is why in chapter 5, the description is given as per the Lord Brahma's poem. That is why he's known as Adi Kavaye, the first being and the first poet who composed this Samhita, or a collection of prayers, where he first opens that in the 5th chapter with this Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda. Anadir, there is nobody before him. That is Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. Anadir Adir Govinda, who is unborn. Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. That is also Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. That is also the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is also the very first Vedanta Sutra, Janmadiyasya. Janam means the creation, just not material, spiritual worlds, material worlds. It also means the creation of all the different expansions and avatars. It also means the creation of all the different relationships, etc. Too much to describe. And when we go deeper into the very first verse, after our introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam, at that time, perhaps by the inspiration of Guru and Gauranga, I will try to elaborate further. So, that Kam Gayatri mantra, that Bij mantra, was given to Lord Brahma through the flute of Krishna, directly from Golok. Golokera Prema Dhana Hari Nama Sankirtana. Even this Hare Krishna Mahamantra that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu especially propagated, Ajanu Lambito Bhujau Kanakayo Dhato Sankirtanai Pitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwam Bharo Dvijavaro Yuga Dharma Palo Vande Jagata Priya Karo Karuna Avtaro. These two brothers, Gaur and Nitai, whose hands are extended down to the knees, his bodily features show that they are amazingly. When we see the bodily features of certain persons, we can see that he's very intelligent or very endowed with some great qualities. Like if we look at Srila Prabhupada, actually Srila Prabhupada also, he was basically from normal stature in society. He was very short in height-wise, but his hands actually extended, his limbs extended all the way to his knees. If you're standing straight and if you see somebody whose hands are extending all the way to the knees, it is those personalities are considered of very high intellect and especially spiritual intellect. Those who have very large ears also, they are very, very intellectual. So the bodily symptoms are Ajanu Lambita Bhujau, Kanakaya Dhatu, and they had very, very wonderful molten golden complexion. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the bhav of Radharani, in the Swamini bhav. And because of that, he is known as Gauranga. Kamalaya Taksho. And he has beautiful, both Gaur and Nitai, Nityanand Prabhu, who is the direct expansion of Lord Baldev, the brother of Krishna, and who is the source, who is Adi Guru. Both of their eyes were beautiful like lotus petals. Kamalaya Taksho, Vishwambharo, they are both Vishwambharo. Vishwa means the entire creation, just not this world. And Bharo means they are Bharta, they are the providers. Like God is the provider. Everybody believes in that, whether one is a Christian or a Muslim or whatever faith. God is our Data, He is our provider, He is Janardhan. He is the one who gives everybody their needs. Right? In Gujarati, there is a saying, Kidi ne karn and hati ne man. Kidi means small ant. So the Supreme Lord provides even the small ant a little karn. Karn means atomic food particles. And hati ne man. Hati means elephant. And man means, I actually forget how many kilograms it is. I think the older people that those times they used to measure in months, and there are, I think, 40 kilos is 1 month. Maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong at the end of the lecture, but it's quite a huge quantity. So for the elephant, even the Supreme Lord is providing kilograms, hundreds and hundreds of kilograms of food. So he is the actually both of them, Gaur Nitai, they are Vishwambharo, because Baldev, through Baldev, all the entire creation happens, and he nourishes the spiritual and the material worlds, Lord Balram, and that is why they are known as Vishwambharo. The entire creation, they are the Bhartas or the providers, Dvijavaro, and they are both very, very wonderful. Uh, Dvija means Brahmins, and Vara means very, very topmost quality, like the leader in the Brahminical class. Both their parents were great Brahmins, and they themselves also had those qualities. Hadai Pandit was the father of Nityananda Prabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's father was the great Brahmin and scholar Jagannath Mishra, and his grandfather was Nilambar Chakravarti. So they were all great personalities, and of course, the Shastras define and they explain that the father of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagannath Mishra, is none other than Nanda Baba, and Sachi Mata is none other than Yashoda Mai. So, anyways, Vishwambharo Dvijavaro Yuga Dharma Palo, and in this Kali Yuga, they actually spread and propagated the Yuga Dharma, which is what? Sankirtan. Sankirtana. Samyak Kirtan iti Sankirtan. Samyak means full, complete. There are different meanings of the word Samyak, but according to our Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the deeper meanings are explained, and very briefly I will explain that. Samyak also means congregational, along with many, many people. Like they say, divided we fall, united we stand. Or the other way, united we stand, divided we fall. So in this Kali Yuga, everybody is very weak. And because of the onslaught of Maya is so strong that if one practices bhajan alone, the chances of that person falling down, patan, are very great. That is why it is said that one should, especially in this Kali Yuga, take the association of devotees, and that way it will become very difficult for Maya to attack a particular individual. So that is why Sankirtan, congregational chanting, where the devotees will go out on the street or they will together sit and chant the holy names. So that is Sankirtan. But a deeper meaning of Sankirtan is Samyak full. Full means Purna Purushottam Sri Krishna of Golok. Where he is the source of everything, like Brahmaji says, that he is a Sarva Karana Karanam. So glorifying that Krishna and that Samyak Kirtan of that Vrajendra Nandan Krishna is never, Vrajendra Nandan Krishna is never alone, because we as Gaudiya Vaishnavas have the bhav of Radha and Krishna. So when Radha and Krishna together, that is the glorification Samyak Kirtan. And that is why the Mahamantra that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu propagated, which is not new, actually in the Kali Santarana Upanishad, millions and billions of years ago, in a conversation between Naradji and Brahmaji, Naradji asked Brahmaji that right now it is Satyuga, and in Satyuga, the process or the Yuga Dharma is Dhyato Vishnu, meditation, deep meditation. And most of the people lived about 100,000 years. And some of the Rishi Munis used to sit in meditation for 60,000, Vishwamitra Muni, etc. There are examples. In spite of that, Vishwamitra Muni's meditation was broken by that Apsara. But anyways, that was the process. Dhyan, Dhyato Vishnu, Treta Yam Makai. And then when the next millennium or the next yuga came, which is the Treta Yuga, when Lord Ramachandra appeared, that time the predominant Yuga Dharma was fire sacrifices, yajna, makhai. Dwapare Paricharyanam. And then as the next Yuga came after Treta, Dwapar, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, appeared in his original form, maximum number of temple worship was done. People used to spend time in the temples about 6 to 7 hours a day, early in the morning in Brahma Murat, in Mangal Murat at 3:30 a.m. to about 6:30 in the morning, 7 a.m., about 3.5 hours in the morning. And then again, they would all meet in the temple, the entire community. There were, in every community, there would be temples. Like even today, if you go to South India, there is agraharas. Agrahar means there is a temple and there are residences around the temple. Like right now we have in the modern so-called North America, we have subdivisions. They name different subdivisions based on if there's a water body, they call it, or a creek, water creek, or something like that. Or if it is on a mountain, they'll call it Eagle Heights. You know, those kind of names they give to the subdivisions. And each subdivision, especially the affluent ones, have their clubhouses and they have their swimming pools and they have their badminton and their tennis courts and all those facilities. But in the Dwapar Yuga, their main facility that they had, just similar to the clubhouses, is major temples in every community. And all the devotees in the morning, everybody used to gather, and in the evening after sunset, another 3 hours, so 6.5 to 7 hours a day. Dwapare Paricharyanam. Maximum temples were built in Dwapar Yuga. Because after Krishna left, especially at the end of Dwapar, a lot of temples were built by the saintly kings as Krishna Kripa in the form of deities, so that the devotees would not feel separation and they would feel that Krishna is still with us. So that is the significance of the deity. The deity in the temple and Sri Krishna, the person, are non-different. That is our understanding. The holy name of Krishna and Krishna are non-different. Namna nami no abhinna. The Leela, the pastimes of Krishna and Krishna are non-different. The dham of Krishna and Krishna are non-different. So these are very transcendental experiences that these great devotees have shared with us, and that's why they say, yeah. And come Kali, what was the Yuga Dharma? The Yuga Dharma changed to Kalo Tad Hari Kirtan. Hari Kirtan was the process of attaining the perfection of human life by chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, etc. Many names of the Lord. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Ananta Rupam. He's got many names. But why the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is considered the most perfect and complete as the Mahamantra? And as I was explaining, I'm going a little bit more into detail. This Mahamantra was also being chanted in many millenniums, even before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in this particular Kali Yuga, he appeared 500 years ago. And another very interesting point, Lord Ramachandra, he appears in every, I believe it's the 27th cycle of the Treta. And right after that, at the 28th Dwapar cycle, Lord Krishna appears, the original Supreme Lord from Golu, Nandan, Yashoda Nandan. And immediately after that cycle of that particular Dwapar, the Kali Yuga that follows, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears. So I think the calculation that, if I remember, it's every 10,000th Kali Yuga that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears, and every 10,000th Dwapar that Sri Krishna appears. And even Lord Ramachandra, he doesn't appear in every Treta. But all other avatars, like in Kali Yuga, there is one more avatar at the end of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga lasts 432,000 years. 5,000 years have elapsed. So end of this particular Kali Yuga, after 428,000 years, there will be the Kalki avatar. He will be coming on a white horse with a sword, and he will be killing all the demoniac personalities, etc. So this is there. It is given in the Shastra. So in every Kali Yuga, Kalki avatar comes. And in every Satya Yuga, avatars like Narsinghadev, Vamandev, Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, etc., they all come like clockwork. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna, they do not come in every Dwapar and in every Kali Yuga. Therefore, Prabhupada said that this particular Kali Yuga is known as Golden Kali Yuga. Now, after this Kali Yuga will be finished, then again Satya Yuga will appear. After that, Treta. After that, Dwapar. And then after that, Kali Yuga. At that time, in that Dwapar and Kali Yuga, Krishna will not appear. Mahaprabhu will not appear in that Kali Yuga, in that respective. We will have to wait 10,000 such yugas, which means you can, if you want to do the math, Kali Yuga last, the entire cycle of Kali Yuga, Dwapar, Treta, and Satya Yuga is about 40 lakh years or 4 million years. That you multiplied by 10,000, that's when we will actually see the appearance of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, the original Rajendra Nandan, and right after that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how fortunate, Prabhupada said that we are very fortunate, especially in this Kali Yuga. So the Sankirtan that Lord Brahma was discussing with Naradji, and that is mentioned in the Kali Shantarana Upanishad, in some millennium, in some Satya Yuga, because it's a non-stop cycle. Annihilation, creation, annihilation, creation. After Lord Brahma's 100 years are up, which is approximately 3 trillion earthly years, then again the new Brahman appears, and then new Lord Brahma, and then everything again starts. It's a cycle of all these 4 yugas. So just like the sun sets, sun rises, sun sets, sun rises, etc. In a similar note. So this Hare Krishna Mahamantra was always existing. And what the word, first 2 words, Hara, it's Hara means when you are addressing the internal potency of the Supreme Lord, she is known as Hara. Or all the internal potencies of the Supreme Lord are known as Hara. So that means, for example, when in some Satya Yuga, when mostly the devotees were meditating on Vishnu, for them Hara meant all the different Lakshmis, because they are the internal potencies of Narayan. So there are many different types of Lord Narayanas, millions and millions of Narayanas. And there are millions and millions of Lord Narayana planets in the Vaikuntha region. And every Lord Narayana has many Lakshmis. So when the devotees, they chanted, even in the Sri Sampradaya or the Lakshmi Sampradaya, they also chant, but they chanted Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So there, that Hara meant Lakshmi Devi, and Ram meant Ramachandra Bhagwan, or any of his other Purusha avatars that were the predominant deities that they were worshipping. So it was in the Aishwarya Bhav, in the Dasya Ras, when they chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And this is all about consciousness. And I can give you a very simple example. I'm trying to lay a very, very, very important foundation before even I go into the Janmashtami component. That way everybody can relish in its true sense and appreciate who the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna is. So it is all about consciousness when we take a name. For example, let's say somebody's name is Rajesh. I'm just giving an example. And when there are 5 different people calling out the name Rajesh. So let's say when an upset father of Rajesh calls out, Rajesh! So at that time we have to understand that the consciousness in that name calling Rajesh is, immediately it will instill some kind of a fear in Rajesh, that now I must have done something wrong and my father is upset. It's just the name Rajesh that the father is uttering. At the same time, that same father can utter the word Rajesh in the morning when he's trying to wake him up. It's time to go to school, Rajesh. Even he doesn't say it's time to go to school, because he's in such a deep sleep with so much love. Just the word Rajesh, he's speaking that name of Rajesh. And then that Rajesh can understand that consciousness, my father is trying to lovingly wake me up. And then in the evening, when Rajesh comes back from school, and when he hears his friends already outside, Rajesh, Rajesh, that means he understands that now the entire boys have gathered and we have to now play cricket. And they're calling me. When they're not saying, Rajesh, let's play cricket. Immediately that consciousness, strikes, oh, they're calling me to play. So if we apply the same simple understanding, when we are taking the holy names of the Lord, there is a certain consciousness. Like, when we are taking the name of a person, we're trying to attract that person's attention, regardless of what consciousness one may be calling out, or what consciousness that person is feeling. Just that one utterance of the name. So this holy name of the Lord, also depending on the devotee, Sanskrit is amazing. The word Hara, that is why it is so amazing that why is it not that Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Radhe Radhe, like that? No, it is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So for the Sri Sampradaya, those Sampradayas who are followers of Ramanujacharya, or those who believe very, their love and their hearts is for Lord Ramachandra, in Vaikuntha Bhav or Narayana Bhav. So when they're chanting the word Rama, they're thinking of Vaikuntha Adipati Lord Rama. And when they're chanting Hara or Hare, then at that time their consciousnesses, they're begging the attention of Lakshmi Devi, or all those devotees of Lord Ramachandra, or the energies of Lord Ramachandra. And that can include Lakshman, that can include Hanumanji, that can include Vibhishanji, that can include all those great devotees in that word Hara. So please try to understand this very important concept. So that is the internal energies, what is known as the Antaranga Shaktis of the Lord. So it depends on what consciousness. So somebody who is calling out in that consciousness, then certainly when they are leaving their bodies and it's time to quit this body, and if they're chanting that Mahamantra, at that time their consciousness is at the lotus feet of Lord Narayana and Lakshmi Devi, or Lord Ramachandra and Sita Mata. So obviously, due to that perfection of chanting the holy names, they will be transported to the Vaikuntha area of Ayodhya, or to the Vaikuntha planet of the different Narayana planets. That is what this Hare Krishna Mahamantra was always existing. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, he kind of changed that to Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And that change was basically based on consciousness. Now, the Supreme Lord can do anything. It's not that we can change the mantras. That means if Mahaprabhu can change it, yes, he is the authority, because he is Krishna. He is in the mood of Radharani, and he makes the rules. We don't make the rules. So that's why we should never change Shastra or shlokas or the meaning of the shlokas whimsically, based on our mundane experience or our intellectual and mental platform. So whenever the great personalities make any significant changes, there are very, very deep reasons for that. So here, when Mahaprabhu's followers, Rupa Goswami, 6 Goswamis, etc., and the great devotees in the line of Rupa Goswami, known as the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who we are under our Adi Guru is Sri Krishna in Golok, who has imparted the knowledge to Brahma, and Brahmaji in turn imparted the knowledge, this transcendent knowledge, to the Naradji, and Naradji imparted this knowledge to Vyasdev, and Vyasdev, it came in disciplic succession without any break, and to Sri Madhvacharya Pad. Those who have heard Madhvacharya Pad, he is in the Krishna Math, his famous temple in Udupi in South India. And then it came to, in disciplic succession, to Sri Madhavendra Puri Pad. Now, it is very interesting. Up to Madhavendra Puri Pad, mostly the consciousness of the devotees, when they were chanting, very few, except the few Rupanugas or Chaitanya Mahaprabhus, the relationship between the Supreme Lord and the devotee was predominantly Dasyaras. which is that of awe and reverence. People considered the Supreme Lord as their master, and there was not much intimacy. As a matter of fact, there was more fear. Like nobody could dare, can, or ever, and even now as we speak, like any common person or anybody can put their hands on the shoulder of Lord Ramachandra. Immediately Lakshman will get very upset. When Shabri ate the half-eaten berry and tasted it just to make sure that my Lord Ram has come after so many years. I've waited and waited. I want to give him the best of the sweet fruits. And she was tasting and giving him. When she started doing that, Lakshman got very upset. He says, "You know who he is? Everybody worships him in awe and reverence. In Vaikuntha, the Aishwarya Bhav is there. How dare you do that?" But Lord Ramachandra, that was one of the exceptions, that Lord Ramachandra accepted the half-eaten berry of Matang Muni's disciple Shabri, and he explained that this is the reason. So then Lakshman could barely control his anger, because that is crossing the etiquette. So crossing the etiquette is very, very dangerous and not accepted in Vaikuntha Bhava. That is why, that intimacy does not exist in any of those Narayana, Vishnu, or Lord Ramachandra worship. So please try to understand this very fundamental and important concept. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and when Madhavendra Puripad appeared, actually Madhavendra Puripad brought the Vatsalya Ras, that component beyond, in a very predominant way, of Krishna Prem in the parental love. And it is to him that Srinathji or Gopalji appeared in Govardhan, very close to Govind Kund. He appeared when, in a dream, Srinathji appeared to Madhavendra Yati. He's known as Yati because he had a very, very special vow. He never asked for anything. Madhavendra Puripad, he, even for food, he would never, he was completely austere, completely virakta. He was so much Doma that he did not even, as a person who is without a home, he didn't even want to beg for food. If it came, he would accept it. If it did not come, he would sleep hungry. That was the high quality of Madhavendra Puripad. And he was the great disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha. Anyways, there are so many wonderful Vaishnavas to speak about in this particular Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Srinathji or Gopalji, at that time known as Gopalji, told him that I am lying in this area in the bushes for many years. Please excavate me. And I'm very thirsty, I'm very hungry. And of course, Krishna has the right to reveal to his devotees. So Madhavendra Puripad, next morning when he woke up, he told the Vrajvasis, on top of Govardhan, there is a place, there is some bushes there, and there is where this Gopalji came in my dreams, and he said, and when they all excavated, and lo and behold, the beautiful deity of Srinathji appeared. And then, of course, Srinathji also told him that go bring me Chandan. And then he went to the Malaya, to Orissa, Madhavendra Puripad, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions about the pastimes of his Param Gurudev. So Madhavendra Puripad, and it is also known there is a place in Govardhan that is very famous, especially for the Pushti Margis, those who are followers of Sri Vallabhacharya Mahaprabhu, that is called as Jatipura. So that Jatipura is named after Madhavendra Puripad. He was known as Madhavendra Yati. Yati means one who is completely austere and who is bereft, who doesn't ask anybody from anything, and he doesn't ask anybody anything. So he's called a Yati. Like Nityananda Prabhu was also a Yati, like an Avdut, always absorbed in the Lord's love and not worrying about the bodily needs, anything like that. So that place where Madhavendra Puripad did his bhajan was known as Yatipura. And that is why now the Gujaratis and the other persons, they call it Jatipura. So if you go to Govardhan, do the parikrama, Jatipura is a very, very prominent place. Anyways, so that Madhavendra Puri to whom and then later on that seva was given to the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, to Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and with their permission, there is some nice pastimes of Vittalnath ji or Gosai ji, the son of Sri Vallabhacharya Pad, who received the seva from the Gaudiya Vaishnavas of Srinath ji. And that is the reason today Srinath ji is worshipped by very nicely in Nathdwara by the Pushti Margis. Amazing, amazing worship. I mean, unparalleled. There's so much bhav they have. Again, there's so much to say. What can I say? And they are also very much into this Janmashtami. I remember my grandmother, she was a wonderful Pushti Margi Vaishnavi. So much prem for Krishna. Even at the age of 90, she used to do the Annakut by herself. She had taken Marjad. Marjad means a vow that you will never, ever eat from anybody else's hands. You will cook by yourself, you will offer it to Krishna, and then you will take the prasadam. So even at the age of 1993, when she was about to leave her body, her hands were shivering, and she was, even at that age, making so many wonderful samagris for Srinathji. At that age, amazing how much love she had for Srinathji, and singing the different padas and for his pleasure, the different kinds of foodstuffs she prepared. And to prepare 56 items single-handedly, and a lot, we are not talking about 1 or 2 or 5 pieces, we are talking about big thals, mohandar, mathdi, Mysore pak, and all those different items she used to prepare for Janmashtami only. And she used to tell me when I used to talk to her that, how do you do this, Ba? And she says, well, he gives me the energy. And she used to stay in Gokul 6 months in a year, and she had some very alokik experiences. She was definitely a personality from Golok. I'm very fortunate to be her grandchild. Somehow the other, and she was kind of upset at me also, transcendentally I would say so, because I took initiation in ISKCON, in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. She's saying, whenever I met her, when she saw this tilak, she said that, why this, why don't you, join the Pustimar Sampradaya? So then I said, Ba, you know what, in Pustimar Sampradaya, there is no preaching. Although I was your grandson, and right from when my eyes opened, I was in your lap, and I saw you, and I used to even steal prasadam from your cupboard that you had offered to Sinaji, especially the Banta Goti. And then she would simply laugh and smile and give me more. And like that, I used to tell her that you know what, all these years I have seen you worship Srinathji, but I never understood who Srinathji is. I mean, I knew that he is Krishna, but I never understood any philosophy, But when I came to the West, and when I came to Chicago, and when I met the devotees, and I went to the Hare Krishna temple, and when I read Srila Prabhupada's books, I really understood who Krishna is because of the preaching. And without preaching, just, when we follow a certain a component of religion, then it becomes just sentimentalism. And that's what basically it is. Most of us are following certain methods of worship or certain norms in the society due to a sentimental reason without understanding the real scientific reason. And I was of a very scientific mind, personally speaking. I never accepted anything blindly. My background was physics, and I was into aviation and all those things, and I could never explain. And so this was a science, Prabhupada said. Vigyan, Vishesha Gyan iti Vigyan. So this special science of spirituality, when I read Srila Prabhupada's books, all my questions were answered. And I had a very philosophical inclination right from my childhood. I read many other different religious books, Bible, Quran, etc. But I never got that satisfaction. And then I never got that answer about this Hinduism khichdi. I had this uncle who was a brahmachari living next door in Bombay. And every Tuesday religiously and Saturday he used to go to the Hanuman temple and come back with the orange tika. And then next door there was this worshippers of Lord Ganesh. and all during the Ganesh festival, 9 days or whatever, the 11 days, like they strictly did so many wonderful festivities, and they invited everybody and they fed everybody, and they were followers of Lord Ganesha. And then there was these Gujarati ladies upstairs who were in Navratri. They did all kinds of fasting, and they were worshippers of Durga Devi or Ambema, and all this. And the only answer that I got, all gods are one, all Bhagwans are one. There was this in the last in my building. There used to live a very wonderful devotee of Lord Shiva. In the middle of the night, he used to do japa of Om Namo Shivaya, and when everybody was sleeping for hours, we could hear the kartal, the jap kartal, like Narsi Mehta used to carry those. I don't know what it's called, but in the kartal, the manjira is like this, but this is with that. And I'm like, no answers. So that is the reason. But anyways, then later on, as the maturity came, and by the mercy of Guru Gauranga, I understood that there are different relationships that one can build with the Supreme Personality of Goddess Sri Krishna, the original personality who is in Golok Vrindavan. He is so kind that if you want to become you want to have a neutral relationship or a shantras, you can do that as a yogi. So he can actually, those yogis who want to sit in meditation and they want to take the darshan of the Paramatma in their own hearts and in the hearts of others, and they go into the Kundalini yoga, etc., then Krishna reciprocates accordingly. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sat tathaiva bhajami ham. Krishna says that according to the method of worship, I reciprocate. Krishna says that. So those who want to worship him in a shantras, he's ready for that, no problem. You can worship me in the shantras where there is no interaction, there is no seva, just by the mere darshan. If you are pleased, I'm willing to give you the darshan of my expansion as Paramatma. Then those who feel that Krishna is my provider, he is my master, known as the Dasyaras, then Krishna accordingly reciprocates. He gives them the mood and to worship Lord Ramachandra, to worship Vaikuntha Adhipatis, the Narayanas, the Vishnus. So if that bhav is there, then Krishna very gladly, who is in the heart as Paramatma, inspires that devotee to worship him in that particular form, or in that particular rasa, or in that particular mellow. Then the rasa or the mellow or the relationship of Sakhya rasa is there, where one is very deeply desires that I want Krishna as my friend. I want to play with him, I want to sit with him, I want to tease him. All these things are possible. Krishna grants that wish of that sincere devotee. And when that devotee leaves his body, then Krishna grants him his friendship in Golok as a Gop Bard. And then he can join the team of Sridham, Subal, Stoka Krishna, Visalaksha, so many different friends Krishna has. And that, like Gop Kumar, he came back from the material world in Brihad Bhagavatamrit. Krishna welcomed him back in open arms. That Gop Kumar was a cowherd boy and who was in the Sakhiras, in the rasa of friendship. And then there is the parental rasa, the rasa of Vatsalya rasa, the rasa where one wants to have the Supreme Lord, the God, as his son. One wants to shower love like one showers love on their own sons or daughters or on their nephews and nieces, etc. So Krishna is so kind. He gives that opportunity to that sincere devotee who wants to have him as a son in that parental love. So Krishna gives them that full opportunity to blossom and educate and to associate with such devotees who will blossom that bhav or that rasa of Vatsalya rasa. So those who are very sincere in Vatsalya rasa, perhaps they are given birth in the Pushti Marg and they are further educated into the Pushti Sampradaya, where Krishna is their Lala, where I have to take care of Krishna. That Krishna is not going to take care of me. I will take care of him. I will feed him. I will wake him up. I will sing songs to him. I will sing songs to him when he's sleeping. I will make wonderful foodstuffs for him. I will make foodstuffs that will not be scary. My grandmother explained that in Busti Marg they never use carrot, they never use the tomato, because those are very red in color and that will scare the little baby Krishna. See, this is the concept. This is the love. So accordingly, they used to prepare foodstuffs that will be offered for the pleasure of Krishna. Anukulyana Krishna, Anushīlanam tad bhakti uttam. That is uttam bhakti. So it is possible. Krishna is so kind that he can give those relationships. And then there is this relationship of the gopi bhav, of the lover and the beloved, which is the fifth rasa that Krishna gives to those devotees who deeply desire to have Krishna as his lover or her lover. And that Gopi Bhav is manifested. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's school of thought is that Gopi Bhav. It's that Madhuri Ras. Although Madhendra Puri Pad gave that Vatsalya Ras, but after that Ishwar Puri Pad, his disciple and Ishwar Puri Pad's disciple, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who personally came to taste from Golok Vrindavan the mood of Swamini mood, the mood of Radha, he appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And all those followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Gaudiya school, they are strictly in that school of Madhurya Rasa. So, at least that is the intention. And right now we may have many different sentiments, like even devotees in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, they love to hear Ram Katha, or they love to hear other kathas. But as you mature into that devotion, then you become one-pointed. Like even Krishna says, this is a very basic verse in the Bhagavad Gita, but it is very rasic. Krishna says that Bahushakahi anantasya samadhau na vidiyate. I forget the first two lines of this verse, but the essence of this verse is in the last two lines, which is, he says that when one's mind or practices are multi-branched, then one will not get perfection in anything. It is like jack of all, master of none. So sometimes when we are even in school, we are studying all the subjects, right? Right from history, geography to biology, chemistry, physics, all the different sciences and all the different components. But as we come into the 10th grade, we make up our mind that I'm going to take science, or I'm going to take commerce, or I'm going to take arts. I'm going to pursue these. And then you go into a college that teaches those particular subjects. And then in undergraduate school, if let's say you're a science student, you still study biology, you still study physics, you still study chemistry. But then once you go into in the bachelor's program, then you either take physics, or you take chemistry, or you take biology. Or right now there are so many specialized subjects. And then mastery, even within, let's say somebody takes chemistry, then one gets mastery in chemistry, and there are many different components of chemistry. But then somebody wants to become a master in organic chemistry, so then he only studies in organic chemistry, and then PhD in a particular. So just like doctors, when they study doctors, they study medicine on a very broad base. But as they graduate and they go into residency, and then they do their fellowship, then he says, okay, I'm going to do cardiology. That's going to be my specialty. So there are these relationships, are specialties or rasas between the Supreme Lord. And because those relationships exist in the spiritual world, they exist here. Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads explain that the spiritual world is the real vastu, or it's the kaya, and the material world is the chaya. It is the perverted reflection. So all these relationships of Shanta Rasa, which is equivalent to the neighbors. We don't go to the neighbor's house. Neighbors don't come to us. I've given this example. We see John or Mary when you're cutting the grass. Hi, John. Hi, Mary. Or you meet that guy at the bus stop or at the train station. You give a nice smile. Just by seeing each other, you're happy. But he doesn't come to your house. You don't go to his house. You don't serve him anything. He doesn't serve you anything. That is Shantras, like that yogi. And then the other rasas are there. Dasya ras, I need not further explain. We are servants in this world. Either we are working for somebody or somebody is working for us. That is the dasya, the master and the servant relationship. And then we have the sakya relationship. I do not have to explain that further either. We have so many friends. Because it exists in the spiritual world, it is existing here. Without kaya, there is no chaya. Without the object, there is no shadow. So the shadow is there. So all these relationships are, the parental relationship is there in the spiritual world. That is why it is there. That is why we have fatherly figures, motherly figures, father, mother, uncles, aunts, etc. That loving relationship is there, or so-called loving relationship, because it is perverted. Perverted in the sense that as long as we give sense gratification to that father, to that mother, to that uncle, to that aunt, everything is okay. But the moment we stop giving them sense gratification, or vice versa, I don't care about that uncle, or I don't care about that brother, or I don't care about that sister, or I don't care about that son. That is what I meant by a perverted relationship. It is based on material circumstances. But in the spiritual world, Krishna can be naughty, he can steal, he can do whatever apparent nonsense he can do. Ashlishapad ratam pinishtumama darshanam marma harto karotu va yatha tathava vidato lamputo mat prana nathasya eva napara. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions in the Sistastakam, in the last sloka, in the Bhava of Radharani and the Gopis, that you can treat us wherever, however, and whatever you like. Whether you embrace us or you kick us, you are mat prana natha. And there is nobody but you, O Krishna. So that is not the case in this material world. We have the perverted reflection of the Madhurya Ras, like a relationship between a husband and a wife, or a boyfriend and a girlfriend. Those lover and the beloved, those relationships are there. But there are breakups also. There are divorces also. Why do they happen? Because the moment we stop giving mutual sense gratification to each other, then we become enemies and the tie is severed. But that does not happen, because that is Satya, Satchit Ananda, Satyam Param Dhimahi. Sat means eternal. It is absolute. It is not material. It is not conditional. And it is not subject to any decay. That love will always remain as Sat in all these 5 relationships. So I tried to explain that to my grandmother, that, some or the other, because of that I have understood, and now I have accepted Brahma Sambandha or initiation in this line. I need your blessings. So sometimes she would laugh, but internally she said that, when I leave, I want you to take my seva, but you're not qualified, she told me. And I'm like, yes, that's very true. Nobody wanted to take her seva. Her Thakurji then ultimately was put in the Gokulnathji temple in Gokul, because nobody had those qualifications to serve the way she was serving. And she said, if you take to this Pushti Marg, I will give you my seva. She used to give me that thing. But then again, even if I had taken to the red tilak and taken to Pushti Marg, even if I personally did not feel qualified to take her seva the way she was serving, as a matter of fact, I think I would have done some anasar, some kind of an offense, if I had taken those deities. Actually, it's just amazing. So my point is that I by speaking thus so far, I hope you all got some idea, or at least a fundamental idea on those relationships. And those relationships that we are talking about in Golok, they exist predominantly. Actually, all 4 are present in Golok. There is Dasya Ras in Golok, but predominantly Krishna has Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya Ras in Golok. But Krishna in Sakhya Ras plays with his friends, and in Golok, time comes to a standstill. Now, this is very difficult to understand. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our Gaudiya Acharyas, has explained that Golok Vrindavan is like a lotus petal. Now, please try to follow my hands as much as you can. It is like a lotus petal. So these fingers are my petal. And Golok actually contracts the petals, just like at night, certain flowers, they close and then they blossom. Depending, certain lotuses blossom during the night in the full moon, and certain lotuses blossom during the day. So according to the free will of Vrajendra Nandan Krishna, these petals in lotus, they actually represent each prakoshta. So prakoshta, each petal is a prakoshta or a region. And in that particular region, Krishna is of a particular age. He does not grow up. He stays the same. Time comes to a standstill. Please try to understand this concept. Very, very important. So those of for example, the Vatsalya Ras devotees, when they attain their perfection and when they leave their body, for example, I'm sure my grandmother is in Golok, in one of those prakoshtas, or one of those petals, where only that region where Krishna is no more than 7 years old. Because Srinathji is 7 years. He has, if you see his beautiful Sri Vigraha, the beautiful deity, he is holding Govardhan in one hand, and he has one hand on his waist. That is the So 7-year-old Krishna, up to 7 years, those pastimes are happening in Golok, and those devotees who love Krishna in that particular age of that young child, Krishna satisfies that by eternally appearing even in Golok and always eternally enacting those wonderful sweet pastimes in Golok, where he never ever grows up more than 7 years. This is one of the examples that I'm talking about here. So those devotees who are in Vatsalya Ras, they will never be able to, those who are in the service of Nandalay, that is called the service of Krishna in Nanda Bhavan or Yashoda Mai's Bhavan. And just like a child is always under the care of their parents in the home. So generally speaking, when he is a child, and even though he goes for Gocharan and he comes home, it is the young under 7-year-old Krishna that these Vatsalya Ras devotees, they relish in Golok Vrindavan. And that is why Shri Akantaha Kantaha Parama Purusha Kalpataro Druma Bhumis Chintamani Kalpataro Chidananda Rupam Paramapi Tada Swadhyamapi Cha Sayatra Shirabdi Surabhibhyascha Suman Nimeshar Dhakyova Vrajati Na Yatrapi Samayah Bhaje Shweta Deepam Tamahamiha Golokamitiyam Vidantaste Santah Shitivirala Charaha Katipaye. This is verse number 56 of the Brahma Samhita of the chapter 5 that I mentioned earlier. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu located in the Rangjir Mandir. And that describes actually Golok Vrindavan very nicely. Brahmaji in the 56th verse is explaining. And I really have dubbed this personally. I like it so much that I call it our national anthem, especially for those who are perhaps the Pushti Margi devotees and the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Because national anthem means you are glorifying the land of your birth. And our land is Golok Vrindavan. So and someday when the opportunity arises, it will take me days to go into the detail of this verse. But that one particular line that Brahmaji explains is, or mentions is, Bhaje Shweta Deepam Tamaham Am Iha Golok Am Itiyam. In this Golok Vrindavan, not even for a moment, time comes to a standstill. Nimesh Ardhakyo Va Vrajati Na Yatrapi Samaya. So time comes to a standstill based on the liking of the devotee. And then sometimes Krishna is so kind that he allows certain devotees that he loves too much, and those devotees love him too much, they allow them entrance into more than one prakosh. So a devotee of Vatsalya Ras in one prakosh can enter the Madhurya Ras. So even in the Pushtimar Sampradaya of Sri Vallabhacharya Pad, there is the Nikunja Seva, which is very rare, and it is only to very highly elevated devotees that is granted. And in Nikunja Seva, the Ashtachap Sakas, including Surdas and those Kumbandas and so many other Paramanandas and Chitta Swami, Govinda Swami, all those, they are actually Krishna's Sakhas because they're Ashtachap Sakhas, and they were disciples of Vallabhacharya Pad, and they actually were also gopis. So they were given entrance into the Madhurya Ras Prakosh as well. So this may sound a little complicated, but I would appreciate if you can absorb your thoughts. And this is how I'm just basically giving you a glimpse of Golok Vrindavan, how the Supreme Lord, out of his kindness, he expands himself into different forms and based on the bhav. So Bhumi goes to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma, the first creator under the permission of Krishna of this particular material worlds or the Brahmans. Bhumi in the form of a cow, very sad. She's weeping, she's crying, and she goes to Lord Brahma because she considers Lord Brahma as the creator. Because most of them, even the gopis, they say that Lord Brahma, you the creator, you are so cruel. This is in the Brahmar Gita or the Gopi Gita, I can't remember the verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that you have created our eyelids. Look at the love of the gopis for Krishna, and they blink, and when they blink, we miss the beautiful darshan of Krishna for that little nimesh. Nimesh means the time it takes for the eye to blink. How long does it take? It's split of a second. So sometimes the gopis are cursing. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a verse that they said that our creator Brahma, he created these eyelids. That is not so nice, because then, for that particular split of a second, we miss Krishna. So anyways, so Bhumi goes to Lord Brahma, and then Lord Brahma, along with all the other Devi Devtas and along with Mahadevji, all of them, they go to the ocean of milk known as Sir Sagar. And Sir Sagar is the place of residence of Vishnu, especially in particular the Sirodaksai Vishnu. Shir means milk in Sanskrit. Shiro Udaka Shai Vishnu. Udaka Shai means one who is reclining Shai in that ocean of milk. That personality is known as Shiro Udaka Shai Vishnu or Sirodakshai Vishnu. Another Vishnu who is also there in the Brahman, in the bottom of the Brahman, is Garbho Udakashai Vishnu or Garbhodaksai Vishnu, who actually is reclining in the transcendental sweat water. From his own sweat, all 1/3 of the water is filled in the empty Brahman, and he reclines there, and from him, from his navel, Lord Brahma appears, the Swayam Bhu. That Lord Brahma, he did not have any mother. He just appeared from the navel directly from Lord Vishnu, known as the Garbhodaksai Vishnu. And Garbhodaksai Vishnu is an expansion of Mahavishnu or Karana Udakashai Vishnu. Karan means the causal, Karana Jal. There is a region between the material world and Vaikuntha known as Karana Jal. There is a vast ocean. It is also known as Viraja. And this Karana Jal is where this Karana Udakasai Vishnu reclines on. All three of them, they recline on Ananta Sesh. Ananta Sesh cannot live without the brother Balramji, who cannot live without Krishna. He's always serving Krishna. And in here he's serving as the Dasya Ras. Balram actually has talking about the rasas, Lord Balram or Baldev has the opportunity to serve Krishna in all 5 rasas. This is the most rarest of the rarest. Not everybody gets a chance. Sometimes certain devotees get a chance in 1 ras, in 2 rasas, in 3 rasas, but not in all 5 rasas. So Lord Balram, as a das, as a serpent bed, he is serving his expansions of Krishna as Vishnus, the Karanadaksai Vishnu, the Garbhodaksai Vishnu, and Sirodaksai Vishnu. And Sirodaksai Vishnu is the expansion of Garbhodaksai Vishnu with millions and billions of such Sirodaksai Vishnu, who is also known as Paramatma. He's there in everybody's heart. He's there in every atom. That is the reason, even I don't have the real time to explain those details, but those who have studied physics, the atom has protons, electrons, and a nucleus. And the protons and electrons, they revolve around the nucleus. The nucleus is like the heart of the atom, just like the heart of a person and in there the Paramatma and the Atma reside. Similarly, because the Paramatma, Sirodaksai Vishnu's expansion, Paramatma resides in that atom, the electrons and the protons get that energy to revolve. Otherwise, just like a body, when the Atma and Paramatma leave, that body is considered dead. Then that atom is considered finished when the Paramatma leaves. So that is given also in the, I think it's in the Brahma Samhita also. Anda anuchayaranta paramanuchayaranta asta govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. He is present in every atom. So the Sirodaksai Vishnu reclining on the Ananta Sesh in the Shir Sagar, in the ocean of milk, nobody can see him. So Lord Brahma, along with all the different demigods, the Devi Devtas and Mahadevji, they all are on that beach, on the banks of the Shir Sagar. And Lord Brahma and the Devi Devtas have a very special prayer. And every time there is a problem on Bhumi, on earth, or there is any necessity, then they start eulogizing the Supreme Lord's incarnation of Sirodaksai Vishnu through Purusha Sukta. So in South India, especially if you go to the South Indian temples, Purusha Sukta is very prominent, and even Vishnu Sahasranam. So these are the ones that actually eulogize that component of Vaikuntha, those that Vishnu, Narayanas. So, and then when Lord Kshirodaksha Vishnu is pleased, he simply, it is mentioned, all this is there in the Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada has very nicely explained that even in the Krishna book. And the mention is there that the Kshirodaksha Vishnu does not appear in front of Lord Brahma or any other Devi Devatas, but Lord Brahma being the first being created, excuse me, he through sound vibration conveys a message to Lord Brahma. Do not worry, Brahma. Please convey to everyone that I will appear now as the original incarnation in this particular case, as the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom I am an incarnation of. He will personally come to this earth and mitigate all the different difficulties and miseries of devotees. And which even Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that famous verse. What is that? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmani srijamiham paritranayam sadunam vinashayati dushkritam dharma sanstapakaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna has spoken in the Bhagavad Gita, not just 5,000 years ago, but this Bhagavad Gita is also eternal. Because he explains in the Bhagavad Gita, he tells Arjuna that I have spoken this Bhagavad Gita in some Satya Yuga, in some millennium, to the sun god Vivaswan. In the first Manvanta, I have spoken this. But because Yogam Nashta Param Tapa, because this science of Bhagavad Gita, due to the influence of time, it got destroyed. And that is the reason, and you are my good friend, Arjun, you are my Sakha, you are dear to me. That is why I am speaking this science of Bhagavad Gita to you again. So Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam are eternal. It is not that they were recently composed about 5,000 years ago. Actually, they re-manifest, just like the sun. Right now, in a few hours or a couple hours, it will set. And then it will re-manifest. It will appear again tomorrow morning at sunrise. And then again, it will disappear. So the sunrise and the sunset are analogous to the Krishna's appearance and disappearance, or the Krishna's pastimes, the appearance, the Leelas, appearances and disappearances. So it says, you demigods, you Devi Devatas, please, it is my request that you all take birth in Vraj as the Yadus or the Yadavs and their dynasty, and wait for the welcoming of Sri Krishna. I want you all to take birth, and as simple coward women and men in Vrindavan, in Vraj, and as in the Vaishya community, and wait for me in my original form to appear. So, like this, Brahmaji conveys this to all, including Bhumi, to Mother Cow, Gaumata, and then everybody is full of relief that Krishna is going to come soon. He is coming in his original personality, his original form. So, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati. Whenever there is rise of irreligiosity, I come millennium after millennium. But in this particular millennium, Krishna comes in his original form. And then, now, one may ask that that question has arisen, that Vinashayati Dushkritam, why does Krishna actually doesn't have to come to kill the demons or the Rakshasas. His Maya is very powerful. Krishna says, Maya Maya Duratya. It is very difficult to surmount my Maya. And we can see a very, very small fraction of the Lord's Maya in the form of COVID-19. We think we are so powerful. We think that all these big nations, including the presidents and the prime ministers of different countries, most powerful countries in the world, they are boasting of so many things. It will happen, this will happen, that will happen. And every day the numbers are climbing. Every day. Now US is reaching to the point that 5 million people are almost on they have already been inflicted by COVID-19. And there's a huge number of people, I think close to, I forget the number, 160,000 deaths, somewhere there. So if we are so powerful, why can we solve the problems of basic problems of birth, death, old age, and disease? This question arises. So we think we are powerful. We think, but we are nothing. China created this one little virus in retaliation of Trump's. It is the belief of, and of course, there are many theories, but because Trump had imposed all these sanctions against China, and China is very smart and very cruel also, extremely cruel. They have so many methods. They know that they can never win a nuclear war with the US, although they have nuclear capability, and they know that US is still, no matter how much trillions and trillions of dollars of ceiling debt, every day it is increasing. Probably we are now to the tune of over $25 trillion. The US is over $25 trillion in debt, and still it is the most powerful country. I remember when US was in the debt at about $5 trillion back in the 80s, and now it has climbed to $25 trillion, somewhere in that ballpark, in that range, and still it remains the most powerful economy in the world. So China cannot defeat US in that economic battle either. And the reason why they used Maya Devi is very strong. She gave the perfect demoniac nation the perfect opportunity to create that virus in that lab, and that will cause the most devastation. Economically, US and the whole world are suffering. Nobody can deny that. Especially, my heart goes out to all those poor people, because they have lost their jobs. Even in places in India, they have not been able to open. We think we are so powerful. We are talking about so many prime ministers and presidents. We are nothing, my dear sirs. We are nothing. Maya is so strong that there is a nice verse in the beginning of creation where Krishna is simply lying on a what? What is the banyan tree leaf? Kararavinde mukadaravindam, Kararavinde padaravinde mukadaravindam, Vatasya patra sapute shayanam balam mukundam manasa smarami. At that time, Vyasdev sees the devastation that was caused by Maya. Those tsunamis, those earthquakes, those pestilences, and this little germ that even one cannot see with the eye and we still cannot solve. Nobody has been able to find that immune vaccine. They're talking about promises and promises, and every day lives are being lost. Every day our life has changed. We cannot even hug our own family members. We cannot even show respect to the elders. We cannot touch them. We cannot show that love and affection. Look how much powerful Maya is. Think about it. And if one small agent of Maya is so strong, how powerful is Maya? And then how powerful is the creator of Maya, Sri Krishna? Vyasdev saw that. Actually, Krishna gave him that vision to see that he had asked that I want to see the take darshan of your Maya. And Krishna says, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure? And Krishna gives him that darshan. It was so devastating that the entire devastation. So if Krishna's Maya is so powerful, how powerful is Krishna? But none of these leaders today, shame on them, they are going out and saying that take the name of the Lord. Everybody go to the temple. Well, you can't go to the temple, but in your home, pray to the Supreme Lord, whatever your faith is, so that he can remove these obstacles. No, because we are in a very demoniac, we are in a very atheistic society. None of our leaders believe that. And even those leaders who believe in it, they do not openly propagate for fear of losing elections, for fear of becoming secular, for fear of becoming rather non-secular. So it's so true. This is so sad. Today's world, I am somehow or the other bring a kind of a little bit of digression, but to bring the point home that recently Prime Minister Modi went to the inauguration of the Ayodhya Janmabhoomi, and all these Muslims, they started a big sting that, India is a secular state. Are Baba, when Imran Khan can go and do namaz in the mosque, and the Prime Minister of Turkey can go and do namaz in the mosque, and President Putin of Russia can go to the church because he is an Orthodox Christian, because Modi is a Sanatan Dharmi and he goes to his own temple and in his own faith, he's not allowed to do that. So this is the situation. This is all because of the influence of Maya. Maya is so strong. That's why Krishna declares in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya Maya Duratya. My Maya is extremely difficult to surmount. But Je Mam Prapadyante Maya Maya Tarantite. One who actually surrenders unto me fully, one will be able to cross over Maya. One will be able to defeat the onslaught of Maya. And this is the best process of taking to Krishna Bhakti. And that's what even the most common persons, they have faith in a higher power. Bhumi, in the form of a cow, did not understand that Krishna is perhaps the supreme personality of God. So she went to the immediate superior, Lord Brahma. And then Lord Brahma went to his superior, his creator, Vishnu. Like that, the message was passed on and everybody went back. And then the Yadus, in the Yadu dynasty, the different Devi Devatas appeared already, waiting for Krishna's appearance. Now, it is said that in Mathura, most of the Yadus, the most pious Yadus took birth, especially King Surasen, his son Vasudev, and so many other Yadus, the Vrishnis, etc. They appeared in Mathura, which is the capital city, I would say the most modern city even during those days in Vraj. And at that time, it is said that Kansa's, who was actually very fond of his cousin Devaki, the daughter of Devak. It happened to be her wedding, and Kans personally took great pride and part in that wedding. And when the wedding ceremony was complete, Kans, it was at that time, it was the system that the brother will accompany the sister to the husband's house, and them being of the royal family, it is said that the wedding was with great pomp, and when the wedding was completed, it was time for Devaki to go to Vasudev's house, and Kans said that, my dear sister, I will personally drive this chariot for you. It will be my honor and pleasure to take you to your husband's home. And as you all know, the pastime, that while the chariot was going through the streets of Mathura, on the way home to Vasudev's house, there was a Akashvani, or a sound, a celestial sound from the sky. It says, hey Kans, you are a fool. You are actually driving your sister Devaki, whose eighth child will be the cause for your death. The eighth child of Devaki will kill you. And immediately Kans was struck with awe and anger. And being demoniac in nature, he immediately took Devaki's hair and pulled her head back right on the chariot and pulled his sword out and wanted to cut her head. The first thought came to his mind that if this sister doesn't live, then there's no question of any children, and I will destroy my sister. So that way there's no question of any children. But Vasudeva, who is very, very patient and had all the qualities of a great devotee, begged Kansa. He says, Kansa, what are you doing? Just see the people around us. Does this give you Shobha? Are you going to be happy? Look at all the people around us. Look at the occasion. It's your sister's wedding. You are such a powerful king. And will you kill a woman, especially a sister? And that too on her day of her wedding? What do you think people will say? And Kansa, you know what? I heard that Akashvani, that prediction from the firmament, that it is the eighth child. Who knows? There might be children or there might not be children. Devki is not the one who's going to kill you, or you're not of any danger directly from Devki. So therefore I request you, oh my dear brother-in-law, please leave your sister alone and be the gracious brother that you've been. And let us continue with this. Otherwise, you will lose all your glory. And like that, a very nice conversation ensues. And when we, hopefully some years that it will take, by the time we reach the 10th canto, all these wonderful shlokas are there. And there is a lot of philosophy that Vasudev imparts to Kamsa, that look, those who are born will certainly die. So one should not fear death. And like that, so many wonderful Vedic philosophy is being spoken. He says the moment somebody is born, the moment, supposing if somebody is 20 years old, that means they have died 20 years. 20 years of their life has been shortened. So what is so surprising about death? So like this, and then he tries to use what Prabhupada says, Sama, Dama, Veda, Niti, these four different principles where you try to reason by using logic, by danda, to give punishment, but obviously he cannot punish Kansa, so he uses a lot of pursuance. He uses all these philosophies to persuade Kansa. So like this, Kansa gets convinced and he says, that's true. And I know, Vasudev, you are a very, very true person, very, very straightforward in your heart. Your reputation is also such that you will never, ever go back on your word. So that, thinking about that part, Kansa said, okay, I think you're right, and I will let your sister alone. And then they all sigh. There's a sigh of relief, and they all go back to their respective homes. Actually, it is said that at that time, so much wonderful gifts were given to Devki when she went to Vasudev's home. It is said that 200 or odd elephants and many horses and many dasis or servants were also sent along because they were of the royal order. And like that, the vidai, or the last part of the wedding ceremony was performed, and she was taken to her husband's home. Now, after that, when Kansa went back to his palace and he started thinking, these Devi Devatas, these demigods, and including Vishnu, they are always have been inimical towards me, and I don't like them. And I don't know what to do. And in that way, he was constantly in fear and thinking. At that time, Naradji appeared. And when Naradji appeared, there is also a very, very special reason. Always, just like when the Lord appears, there are one Leela encompasses many Leelas. It is not that when the Lord comes, he does one particular thing and it's done. Actually, with every Leela, there is probably so many different reasons that are tied up into his appearance or into his a particular activity. And that is very difficult to understand. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chami divyam, jo veti tattvataha, tattva punar janmaneti, mameti so Arjuna. Very beautiful verse. What a guarantee. Ironclad guarantee. I mean, I don't think we can get such a guarantee anywhere else. He says, anybody who believes in this, just 100% belief, whether you do anything else or not, just believing that my birth, janma, karma, my activities, cha me divyam, they are transcendental. Just by that 100% belief, one will never be reborn in this material world. One will never enter into this cycle of birth and death. One will never come back to this samsara. But unfortunately, if today the doorbell rang and if Sakshat Sri Krishna is standing in front of us, we will start doubting, "Arey, some Natak company person has come, is dressed up so nicely that we see in the Bollywood dramas or in the Mahabharata or the Ramayana serial. Somebody is just coming." We will not have that 100% conviction. Even if Krishna stands right in front of us, we will not, because we have weak faith because of the influence of Maya. Very few who have strong faith will immediately see Krishna. Otherwise, because of the influence of Maya, we will doubt. And we will doubt Krishna. That is why Krishna says, Janma karma cheme divyam. It is transcendental. And in order to understand this verse and to apply this verse in our lives, that is why we need Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. That is why we need the association of devotees. Sadhu Sangha. When we do Ado Shraddha, when we have a little faith, then the next step is Sadhu Sangha. And the sadhus guide us. Those who are true sadhus. We are not talking about Dhongi Baba sadhus or those who just want our money or your money. Not those kind of sadhus, not Kaitava sadhus. Those who really have that Sakshat Haritvena Samasta Shastra Uktas Tatha Bhav Yata Eva Sadvi Kinto Prabhoya Priyavatasya Vande Guroho Sri Charana Arvindam. Those sadhus, those gurus, those sadgurus who have got that Sakshat Haritvena, who are one in thought, in words, in action with pleasing Krishna. And what pleases Krishna most is the deliverance of the ignorant souls who are simply revolving in this material world since time immemorial. Ei rupe Brahman Brahmite Kono Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. By the mercy of Guru and Krishna, the Jiva that has been oscillating in this Brahman, sometimes doing pious activities or punya karma, he goes to any of the 6 heavenly planets. And sometimes when they come back due to their misfortune, when they misuse their minute independence to a very bad extent, and due to their bad association, they incur pap karma, and then they are pushed down to the hellish planets, the 7 hellish planets, according to the degree of their sin. And again they come back to the planet Earth. So like that, Ei Rupe Brahman Brahmite. Brahmite means oscillating, just like a pendulum, left to left, center right, right, center left, non-stop. This is our journey that is happening. We are in this prison of the material world, of the world of Maya, including the heavenly planets. It is a part of the material world. Heavenly planets should not, Swarga should never be misconstrued as the Chinmayi Dham or Vaikuntha. Because the quality of Vaikuntha, Vai means no and Kuntha means anxiety. Where there is no anxiety, that region is called Vaikuntha. And what are the anxieties in the material world? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. One should see the defects of Janma. The moment we are born, we constantly die. Death is certain. And in between, we fall sick and we get old. And this quality of these 4 qualities are not present in Vaikuntha. Therefore, there is no anxiety. That region is called a land of no anxiety, in Sanskrit known as Vaikuntha. So, coming back to the point that Krishna has promised us. Tattva Purana Janmaniti Mam Itis Arjuna. Those who believe in this Janma and Karma is Divya. We have to have that practice. we have to get trained. Just like if you want to excel in your job or in your school or college, you have to be trained by good teachers and professors. That is why not everybody gets admission to those great colleges with the big names and the big brand names, because they're known to have good professors and good teachers. And then the students who come out of those colleges and they graduate out of those universities, they are already have excelled, and they have got their already jobs lined up in those Fortune 500 companies even before their graduation results arrive. They've been given a wonderful package with a lot of incentives, etc. So similarly, we need the mercy of Guru, Sadguru, the sadhus, the Vaishnavas, who will tell us about the bhajana kriya, about chanting the holy names, associating with devotees, doing satsang, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and different wonderful, sublime, pure scriptures like Chaitanya Charitamrita, or all the pure scriptures that lead us to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, love of Krishna, Nandanandan Krishna, Yashodanandan Krishna. So that is called Bhajana Kriya, and that includes initiation or Diksha, or the Pushti Margis call it Brahma Sambandh. Brahma means Parabrahma is Krishna. Even Bhagavad Gita, Arjun says, you are Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitra Pamar Paramam. He says Param Brahma, you are the Supreme Lord. Satyam Param Dhimahi. So Brahma Sambandh. Sambandh means relationship. Diksha means forming a relationship with the Supreme Lord through the Sadguru. But nowadays, initiation, Brahma Sambandh has become more or less a fashion. That respect is lacking. Many people take vows, but they're not able to keep it. And so are those gurus, so-called gurus. They're cheating. They simply want to give initiation so that their followers will increase. And when followers increase, their bank balance increases. So one has to be very fortunate. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beej. We get that Bhakti Lata Beej. The pure Krishna Prem seed is put into our hearts, implanted in our hearts by those pure devotees, by the mercy of Krishna. So, as I was saying, I think I left one part a little bit unfinished because there are so many subtopics coming up. So devotees, please forgive me. So I was talking about that Hare Krishna Mahamantra, about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu making it Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So a lot of them who have been chanting this Mahamantra, this is a very, very deep mantra. I'm telling you, I can probably, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and our Gaudiya Acharyas, speak on the Mahamantra for many days if necessary, as the inspiration comes. But just to make it very short and sweet, the word Hara, why is it Mahamantra and why it is complete? I just wanted to drive that point home. That word Hara means all the internal potencies of Krishna, and that includes all the devotees. So for us as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the entire Vraj is present in the word Hara, because that is his internal potency. All the Vrajvasis are present in the word Hara. That includes all the rasas also. Whether it is Sakhya, Vatsalya, the Gopis, the Gopas, whether the Gopis and the Gopas of the Vatsalya ras or the Madhurya ras, they are all Hara. And especially when our consciousness as Gaudiya Vaishnavas is, we are meditating on that Hara and the Madhurya ras, on all those Gopis headed by Srimati Radharani. So Hare Krishna. And that's whereas that South Indian Vaikuntha devotee attracted to Lord Ramachandra Narayana, that Hara means Lakshmi Devi and all the associates of their Lord Narayana or Vishnu. And Krishna, that's an amazing, beautiful word. I'm sure a lot of them, you all have heard the meaning of the word. Krish plus Na equals Krishna. In Sanskrit, if we do Sandhi Viche, we break it down. Krish means attraction, and Na means all. So one who attracts all is Krishna. And that is what is the most appropriate name of God. God has many, many different names, many, many different forms. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Ananta Rupam. He has got Ananta Rupa, unlimited forms. And he has got so many names, but the most appropriate name given is Krishna, because according to the definition of the Shastras, Guru Sadhan Shastra, Bhagavan or God, Bhag means opulences and Van means possessor. So one who has got dhan, wealth, is known as Dhanvan. One who has got Gyan or knowledge is known as Gyanvan. So one who possesses Bhaga, and Bhaga is classified into 6 different opulences. One who has unlimited beauty, unlimited strength, unlimited knowledge, unlimited renunciation, unlimited yash, fame, and unlimited Jnana, Vairagya, Rupa, Yasha, Boredom, and unlimited strength. That is Bhaga, and one means one who possesses all these 6 to an unlimited extent. That person is extremely attractive. And can we not say that through our practical experiences? Supposing if we are in a shopping mall and we see, say, Amitabh Bachchan, immediately everyone, Amitabh Bachchan, bhago, let's go, autograph. Everybody will surround him. Why? He's attractive because of his being handsome, or any, all those qualities in a Bollywood mainstream actor. So beauty attracts. Somebody is in a university and suddenly they say, I'm talking about back in the old days. I'm sorry, I'm not much, I don't know who the present Nobel laureates or scientists are, but if Albert Einstein was to come to that university and was going to be the keynote speaker in a forum, the halls will be packed. Students and professors will be pouring out into the hallways just to grab a few words of Albert Einstein. Why? Because he's very knowledgeable. So knowledge also attracts. So like that, we see somebody who's extremely, very, very powerful, who can perform wonderful feats. In our childhood, we heard about one person pulling the entire train, which was tied to a rope, with his teeth. He made it to the Guinness Book. People used to crowd around such people. In our childhood in India, the 2 biggest wrestlers were Dara Singh and Randwa. And in the National Sports Complex in Worli, Haji Ali, they used to have these wrestling matches. Tickets sold out. I remember in my childhood when I used to take the bus, go around in that area. Huge posters of Dara Singh were there because he possessed that unusual power. So people were attracted. People get attracted to the renunciates or sadhus. If a great sadhu or a saintly person comes to a temple or a church or a mosque, the whole mosque, temple, church is filled. People will be pouring out into the lawns and into the lobby, just trying to get a glimpse of that sadhu or to hear from that sadhu, because of the high level of renunciation that they have, which most common people don't. So like this, if all these 6 qualities to an unlimited extent is contained only in one person, and that is that only one God, and therefore he is most attractive, and therefore the most appropriate names among so many other names of God is Krishna. In particular, this Krishna that we are talking about, Vrajendra Nandan, Nandanandan, Yashodanandan, is complete in 64 super excellent qualities, which even all the beautiful avatars of Krishna, whether it is Lord Ramachandra, who was supposed to be very, very handsome and beautiful, Sita Mata got immediately attracted. the moment he came for the Swayamvar. And she was confident that Lord Rama would indeed do the Pani Grahan, win her hand in the Swayamvar. Rukmini in Dwarka, she got attracted just by hearing the glories of Krishna, of Dwarkadish. But all these have 60 qualities. Whereas Vrajendranandan Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's got 64 super excellent qualities, 4 extra qualities which none of these avatars, not even Baldev himself, possesses. And therefore, his 4 extra qualities are Madhurya Rupa. His Rupa is so beautiful that even the other avatars, his beauty surpasses the beauty of all the other expansions of himself and his avatars. Madhurya Leela, his pastimes are so sweet, uncomparable, that any of his avatars, any of his expansions, any of his Swamshas, Sri Vallabhacharya Pad has written the Madhurashtakam on the banks of the Jamuna in Gokul. When Sri Gokul Chandrama appeared to him, he spontaneously composed this Madhurashtakam. Adaram Madhuram Vadanam Madhuram Madhuradi Pate Rakhilam Madhuram. Every line it is repeated in this Ashtakam, in this 8. Madhuradi Pate Rakhilam Madhuram. You are the source of beauty and there is no other beauty all over you. Akhilam, you are full of beauty, O Krishna. Nandan Nandan Krishna. And I don't know if how many of you have taken darshan of Gokul Chandrama. Actually, he is not there in Gokul anymore. He was shifted to Kamyavan. When you go to Vrajmandal, when you do the parikrama, please go to Kamyavan. And he is so beautiful. Actually, he almost resembles Radharamanji in Vrindavan. So beautiful. So, such is the beauty, the fame, he's got this special flute, Venu, which none of the other avatars carry. And his Tribhanga Lalita, Shyamam Tribhanga Lalita Niyata Praka, just this 3-bent form that he has is so attractive, that even in Golok Vrindavan, in Vrindavan, he is the most attractive personality. Therefore, he is also known as Krishna. In the middle of the night, when the Venu Geet happens, when Krishna is playing his flute in the forest, Sriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamshi Vatastitaha Karshade Swaner Venur Gopi Sri Gopinathaya Sri Astana. When Gopinath plays his flute, the gopis are sleeping in their houses in the middle of the night and they leave everything. Their parents, their in-laws, their husbands, their children, their sister-in-law, their brother-in-law, not caring about the society, they get attracted to Krishna. This is Sri Krishna, the most attractive. Madhuradi Pater Akhilam Madhuram. Madhuradi Pater Akhilam Madhuram. So, coming back to the pastime where Kamsa is in anxiety and Naraji appears, and I mentioned that whenever Krishna appears, there are so many different reasons. Even Naraji appears for a reason, and this is for the pleasure of Krishna. He speaks in such a way, he acts in such a way that sometimes he is misconstrued as the person who causes fights, and sometimes he is misunderstood by people of poor fund of knowledge or no spiritual knowledge as one of those characters who are always duplicitous in nature and always inciting fights. I still remember in our childhood we have seen those movies, black and white, where that character was portrayed as Naradji as Jivan. And people in India, even today, they say, Ye to Naradji aa gaya, Naradji aa gaya. That means he is going to cause a fight between people. This is so wrong. It is a big offense. Narottam Das Thakur says, Hari sthane aprade tare hari naam, Toma sthane aprade nahi paritran. One who commits an offense at the lotus feet of pure Vaishnavas, there is no recourse. But if one commits an offense to the lotus feet of Hari, the recourse is Hari Naam. If one chants the holy name, it can nullify that reaction. But one who commits an offense against pure Vaishnavas, nahi paritran. So Naradji comes and he tells Kansa, Kansa, I heard that there was a predicament when you were driving the chariot of your sister Devki. Yes, Naradji, it's true, and I'm worried. It is from the 8th child. So Vasudeva told me that it's the 8th child, and I will promise you that I will bring the 8th child as soon as it is born, and if my children ever are born. As a matter of fact, he promised that I will bring every child. I will bring every child that is born. But please don't kill Devki. So Naradji smiled. And Naradji says, Kansa, even nowadays, the demigods or the Devi Devtas in the form of that Akashvani, they could be lying. They are your enemy. They planted that seed in Kansa's head. It could be any of these children. It could be number 1, it could be number 5, it could be number 6. And in one of the versions that I heard, Naradji drew a circle and he drew 8 dots. And then he spun it. Then he says, show me which one is number 8 and which one is number 5 or which one is number 1. So Kans even got further perplexed. And then Naradji left to make a short leela out of this gist that I'm trying to tell you. So that immediately brought out the demoniac thinking of Kansa, and he immediately, actually prior to that I missed one point, I beg your pardon. This is even prior to Naradji coming. Vasudeva gave birth to the first child. And as per his promise, from his home, Vasudeva brought that firstborn child to Kansa. And Kansa was very impressed. Oh wow, Vasudeva, as promised, you said you will bring all your children, and this is your firstborn. I don't need him. Take him back. It's the 8th child that I should be concerned about. So Vasudeva goes back home, elated, but at the same time thinking that this is Kansa. You never know, what can go into his head again. And then Naradji arrives, and as explained, Naradji says that, hey, these demigods could be lying, that Akashvani could be false. It could be, he said it's the 8th, but it could be the 1st, it could be the 5th. Whatever, they are your enemies. Never trust the enemy. And then he drew the circle and showed the example. Tell me now which one is number 8, which one is number 1. And then after that he left. And immediately Kans summoned Devki, Vasudeva and the firstborn, and threw them in jail, and he smashed the firstborn baby right in front, cruelly in front of the eyes of Vasudeva and Devki, who are in prison. And like this, 6 children, Vasudeva and Devki's, were killed mercilessly by Kansa, one after another, by smashing them on the wall right in front of their eyes. When it comes to sense gratification, Srila Prabhupada, I remember, mentions that people don't care about relationships. It is shown in the history that so many kings, just to become the king or the princes, they imprisoned their fathers or killed their fathers to usurp the throne. Even in modern times, we have seen so many leaders get killed, plane crash, bomb, etc. Bombs are planted by the opposition parties so that they can be killed. So this is not uncommon. This demoniac propensity of, by hook or crook, relationships don't matter, friendship doesn't matter, social etiquettes don't matter. When one is infatuated, then the worst happens. And that's what happened. 6 kids. It is said that why did Naradji do such a thing that incited Kansa? One can ask this question. Is Naradji so cruel that he is instigating a demon? It's like pouring ghee in fire or pouring gas, petroleum into fire. So the explanation that our Rasikacharyas give, Naradji wanted to escalate the advent of Sri Krishna. Naradji wanted that Kansa's atrocities reach to such a crescendo that Krishna would appear quickly to destroy him. And also, our acharyas explain that these 6 that were killed were representations of the 6 avarices that we have: Kam, Krodh, Moh, Mad, Matsarya. And in order for the Supreme Lord to appear, we need a very clean heart. We need a very clean place to welcome the Lord. So this is explained by the acharyas. And that is the reason these 6, actually, they were in their past lives demoniac personalities that somehow or the other they got an opportunity to get liberated through Devaki and Vasudeva. And now that Devaki, although Devaki was pure, although she was on the Sattvic platform, the Shuddha Sattvam had to be established. That is being explained. Tamogun, Rajagun, and Satogun, they are known as Guna. They bind us. Guna in Sanskrit, translated to English, also means rope. So these 3 gunas, they bind us to the material world. Sattvic gunas take us to heavenly planets, but again we have to come back. So Vasudeva and Devaki playing this role, they had the Sattvic gunas, but Krishna had to go beyond the Sattvic gun and create a Shuddha Sattvam in both the parents that he was going to, father and mother, that he was going to appear to, and cleanse them of even a small iota of any sattvicness also, and create an environment of Shuddha Sattvam, which is transcendental, which is pure bhakti. And then, when the 7th child, when Devaki was pregnant, Krishna in Golok ordered Yogamaya. the seventh child, she said that my mother, my would-be mother Devki, has already the seventh child in her womb. I want you to, Yogamaya, take her out and through your spell, magical spell, transfer this to the womb of Rohini in Gokul. And that seventh child was Balram, Baldauji. And because he was forcefully attracted to the womb of Rohini, he was known, is also known as Sankarshan. Karshan means the attraction. Sun means also full attraction. He was fully attracted. Also, the laws of gravity, Prabhupada, I remember mentions, is called the, what is it called? Gurutva Sankarshan. Lord Ananta Sesh actually holds the Brahmans on his head. I remember my grandmother mentioning that in my childhood, but I simply laughed. And I remember when one time there was a very slight earthquake, and my grandmother said while she was making the mala of Srinathji, the tail of Sankarshan has moved. And that is why, because the earth and the universes are on his head, he has moved. And that is the reason why the earth is trembling. Balaram is Adi Guru. And he is the topmost one in one sense, because of the five rasas he's in serving Sri Krishna. So the appearance of Lord Balram was just a week before. Gaura Baldav Ji ki Jai. So I will stop here now. If everybody wants, we can continue this on actually Janmashtami day, on Tuesday, actual Krishna Janam. We will be discussing that. And if you all can, give us a time, I can be open to any time that the devotees are ready to come join. There's a lot of nectar, Krishna Janam, but this is the part of the Krishna Janam Leela that was important, that I thought I should mention, along with some important philosophical points. And so, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Happy Janmashtami to all. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.